Hi, welcome to today's episode. I'm going to be talking to Claire Heritage about the importance of social media in a estate agency. Claire will talk about how she uses social media to generate market appraisals, generate listings, and sell properties. She gives a real good in-depth insight into the importance of social media, and I'm sure you'll find this really interesting and very useful. So Claire, thanks for sharing your journey in a previous video about, how you went from being an employee to self-employed. It's a fascinating story, and if anyone hasn't watched that, I would recommend watching it, and it might inspire some people to do the same. But what I'm interested in talking to you about today is, what do you do? How do you do it? What your successes are, and why people perhaps use you to sell their house. So can you just sort of give me some ideas on what you do differently to most estate agents?
Yeah, of course. The one thing that really stands out to me is a social media presence, especially in today's world. Everything's extremely fast moving. You have to be on the ball. So for me, social media is extremely important and probably plays a huge part in my self-employed role, I suppose. I know some people may joke and think, oh, you're sitting on Facebook again, or what are you posting out on Instagram today? Actually, that's really important. There's no price that you can put on the time that you spend on that, because actually social media at the moment is the window to the world. Yeah. It's the fastest and the easiest way, I suppose. But when I say easy, it's not just about uploading something to one of these social media sites. It's about what you do with it, actually, once it's there too, and the content that you're putting out there. And I think you've got the no, like and trust scenarios. If people recognise your face, you're a bit more personable. So to me, that's really important. So I rely very heavily on social media. Yeah,
I think someone said recently that the old traditional high street office, the future of that, or the now of that, is social media. That social media is the high street, the old high street office, if you like. That's your window to the world, a way to advertise. That's your way for people to contact you, communicate, see your listing. So maybe we could just go into a bit more depth on that, because a lot of people hear the word social media and go, well, yeah, I'm on Facebook or Instagram, but it's not just as simple as that. What do you do? If we talk about Facebook and Instagram, first of all, what do you do then there's two parts to it. One, you want to generate listings and get houses on the market. And two, you want to sell listings. So what do you do then to attract people to sell with you in the first place?
It's personal branding. It's extremely important. So putting that effort into your personal brand, as well as having a good name behind you as well, which is where we're very lucky. But it's knowing what to do with it once you're on social media. So for example, we will run teaser adverts for properties. So while we're waiting for everything else to be ready, we don't have a property online within a few hours. It takes a good couple of weeks to get property ready for that first launch. So what's important that we found to do is doing some teaser adverts. So we'll be filmed outside a property, or I'll stand there in the village and say, look, we've got this coming to the market soon. The success from that is great. You're getting that interaction. You don't mention the price. You don't necessarily mention where you are. Somebody will recognise where you are. But if you're quite canny with where you're situated and where you're filming, actually that's a really good. You want people to talk to you and contact you.
And ask you, where is it? What's the price?
What is it? You're standing there. In a way, they get a little bit frustrated sometimes, because they can see that you've done this video and spent time to do this and put the information out there, but actually you're not giving anything away. So we do have people saying, well, for goodness sake, tell us where it is, and then we can all plan. But actually, you're having that conversation with me now. So actually, you might not have thought about moving until you've seen this video. You're having this conversation with me. If this one's not suitable, actually, I might have one that's becoming available or not quite ready yet. So you're already building a client base and a rapport before you even start with the full-blown marketing. That, to me, social media, again, it's not just about putting something on and hoping it will sell. Gone are the days of putting a property online, sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, or a newspaper advert coming out, Thursdays are going to be a busy day. It doesn't happen like that. It's a lot more leveled out now. So you're getting genuine inquiries from that as well. So,
and those people that are inquiring, they're also probably got a house to sell. So they're engaging with you. And because they engage with you, the algorithms will make sure that they see future posts as well, won't they, I guess? And
well, these social media sites are really good because they probably know they're going to move before they've even made the decision to actually take the plunge and move. I mean, let's be honest, we've got pixels, algorithms, we've got the tracking with regards to everything that happens. We all know if you talk about something, your iPhone or your device is listening to you, and then you get an advert miraculously appear. So something is happening out there. So with the algorithms, and using that data that we've got, then actually, yes, we know they're going to move. So actually, we've got their details. We can actually help them. It's not a fact of, I've got you in the net now, you will sell with me at all. It's not about that. It's about an education too. So you don't just sell to people. You don't just say, look, I need you to buy this house, or we've got this, this and this. With social media, you've got that opportunity to educate, offer advice. So you're not selling to people all the time. I do a lot of guru videos or articles about the local market, or village videos have been very good as well. So you're actually creating a digital asset for yourself as well that will sit on. If you're doing a village video, for example, everyone who lives in that village is going to watch it at some point, or they're going to be tagged by somebody else saying, oh, I saw your house on this video. It looks like a lovely village where you are, if they don't know it. So all of that are little nuggets really that are in your back pocket, and it's about that social presence and social proof, and it's that know, liking and trusting. If someone sees your face, they know that they can talk to you, and you're not going to be a salesman and sit in their front room and you will sign this contract until before I leave. It's not like that.
So you're providing useful information for potential buyers and sellers, so they're getting to see you and I think if you, rather than selling, you're just more giving. I tell you what would be interesting to talk about is could you tell us the difference between an organic reach and a paid for reach, and how you use both of those to maybe sell a property?
Okay, yeah, of course. So an organic reach is an audience that has been reached without spending any money. We all know that you can do paid for adverts on Facebook, and how you go about doing them is very different, whether you do a targeted one or you keep it fairly generic to go to the local area. But organic's really important because you get organic reach from sharing posts, tagging people, tagging friends, tagging family, then they go on and share it. I'm a member of pretty much every single property group there is. Facebook groups, community groups, things for sale locally. I've been kicked out of a few as well, to be honest, because I share so much content on it that you think, oh, okay, I'll just rejoin again, it's not a problem. But it's very important to have that, because again, you're attracting people who might not even be looking at moving, or even just looking for a bit of advice. What's the property market doing at the moment? Do you mind me asking? What do you think? When do you think's the right time, etc.? So when we have a property come to the market, I share it to all of the groups. Right. So if I've got a local property in Rugby, for example, I will share it to all of the things for sale in Rugby groups that I'm a member of, or different village areas. Going further afield, you've got luxury properties worldwide. If you've got something that's really niche, great opportunity. Your buyer or your seller might not necessarily come from there initially, but again, you're showing to your vendor you're leaving no stone unturned when it comes to exposing their property to the wider audience, which is extremely important.
You can obviously check in the village, or tag local businesses, hashtags for the village, or the local golf course, or the local school. And I mean, I think you're right about the local community groups, and it doesn't have to be. It could be an interest, and like if it's an equestrian property. I mean, what you just put
equestrian. I'm a member of every farm category there are. Narrow boats and canals, windmills. Completed on a windmill last month. I know everything there is to know about windmills now within a certain region, and that's been really interesting as well. But you join these groups, and actually you get to talk to some really fascinating people. Even from a personal point of view, actually, it's good to have that interaction. But and
what sort of reaction? I mean, can you give me an idea of if you do a video of a house and you put it in these groups? or you tag and do all the things you talked about to get organic reach, what sort of, how many views would you likely to get on a typical?
Yeah, each post will vary. If it's something fairly niche, then you know, to get organic views is fairly difficult because you're looking for something that's really targeted. So I'm disappointed if no video has more than 10,000 views overall.
Wow.
That's my personal level. As to a minimum of 10,000, then I know that video actually has been worthwhile because it's hit that many people. If you're looking, equestrian groups are key. Anything that's niche, everybody who is in equestrian loves it. They live, they breathe it. Share it, tag everybody. Somebody down south can definitely know somebody up north. Everybody knows one another because, again, even though it's a niche market, it's actually a larger market than I think we all appreciate sometimes. But that's just one example. So you can be looking at organic reaches from a minimum of 30,000 people. World your oyster on it, to be honest, as to how far it can go. Get other people, get other sites involved as well. Or if something has come on which I know is worthy of a feature, for example, I'll contact the social media platforms such as Rightmove, Zoopla, equestrianpropertyforsale.com. I actually message them on social media and say, I've got this property, please can you feature it? And actually, most of the time, they're looking for content as to what to do as well. And again, that adds another element. So all the time, you're following people with your own algorithms. The pixels, then they're going onto your website, so you can then enable the website to then retarget. Then you've got that data again that it's never ending. If anything, the later you start, the later you're going to see the results, because actually this isn't a quick, a weekly fix. I know that if I've increased it and got an audience, I'm going to double it in 24 hours. That's not going to happen. We're talking, it takes time, but start now, because if you don't start, you're never going to have anything to build on. So it just continuously grows.
And then just so people, imagine someone's watching this and they have no idea of what a targeted Facebook advert is. Could you explain how that works? And maybe if you were talking to a seller, I'm the seller, and you say to me, well, this is what I'm going to do for you. Well, how would you explain that?
I tend to explain this how we've always done it, really, is try and find an ideal buyer. So you look at yourself, and when you're sitting in someone's front room and going through everything, actually, why did you buy your house? Because actually that's going to be your ideal buyer potentially going forward, give or take a few anomalies in that. But with Facebook specifically as well, the targeting is actually quite scary as to how far you can target to people. You're on the verge of potentially being a stalker to everybody with these people, because you can narrow it down: age groups, profession, what their interests are, where they live, where they've visited as well. As I say, we're not given that information so we can turn up on someone's doorstep and say, I've pinpointed you down, I'm going to find you, you need to buy this house. It's a lot more subtle than that, but they take the demographics of all Facebook users, whether or not you use it all the time or not, you're still a demographic, you're still a number, and you can choose where your advert is displayed. It's a paid for campaign, but again, the money that you're spending on it is actually going to the right type of person who are actually going to be interested in that. So you've got your organic and your targeted, merge them both together, you've got such a nice rounded audience.
And what's quite amazing, I suppose it's good for you, is that most estate agents have got no idea about this, and even if they do sort of have a little understanding of Facebook, they don't know how to, or haven't got the time to do it. So if someone's selling their house and you can offer that service, it's a great way to win the listing, to maybe justify your higher fee, because if they've got 3 estate agents coming around, they're going to say, well, I'm going to use Claire because she talked about the Facebook marketing, just one element, and obviously costs more money, but it's worth paying because there's going to be a wider audience. And then the great thing is, once you've got the listing, that's going to help you sell a property, because you're going to be seeing so many more potential buyers than just sticking it on Rightmove. And then if you do have 20,000 people see your video, one of them might buy it, but you've got 19,999 that suddenly people who know who you are, and if they're thinking of selling, they will go, well, we're going to use Claire because I keep seeing her videos.
That's the thing, it's just having that content out there. It's that digital asset as well. So when people Google people, we all do it, don't we? We'll Google yourself just to see what comes up, see what presence you've got in your local area, and then how you can adapt that and make it better and build on it. I don't like to hopefully not bore anybody with the amount of videos that I'm putting out there, but it's all content that you can fall back on, or you can use time and time again. And I would say definitely, if you're not using social media, start. Really, there has to be a point, but it changes all the time. It's always an education, isn't it? Everything changes, and the way that things work change, but again, learning as you go is always a good idea too.
And so what are the social media platforms are you using, and which ones get the best results? And
mainly the three main ones are Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn. Okay. They're extremely important. Facebook is great. You've got a bit bigger audience. Don't get me wrong. We have got TikTok. My daughter's teaching me how to use that, because that's another generation below me, and then you've got Instagram somewhere in the middle of there as well. So again, I'm sure that there's something else will be coming out, probably, no doubt, at some stage or another. All platforms are extremely important. It's just knowing what your audience is. Instagram is really good for quick interaction, scrolling through, sharing stories, having that quick, just have a quick flick through. Let's just see what's going on in the world.
Reels.
Yeah, that's really good. You can adapt anything. You can put a photograph on. You can put filters on. Who knew how many filters you can have? We've got Fine and Country swinging boards now, for example. So as your brand grows, then that will all be fully incorporated into that as well. So it gives you something to definitely build on. LinkedIn is mainly business to business. But actually, it's a recommendation. And again, if you've got somebody who says, oh, actually, so-and-so was talking about that on LinkedIn the other day, maybe they may be able to help you. And it's just that interaction is extremely important, and all of them are important. Yeah,
they're different audiences. I'd say with LinkedIn, because you're dealing with a higher priced property generally, the nice thing about LinkedIn, you can target the ideal person. You've got to build up an audience on LinkedIn, and you can connect with the ideal people. So you can put a search in for the town that you live in. And if you want to deal with high net worth clients, you've got to think, well, who's got a good income? And you can type in doctor, and LinkedIn will show you all the doctors in your town. Or you could type in the word director, and it will give you all the directors in your town, and you can connect with them. And you've got to have I'm not sure the right term, but a title or a heading that's not your job, but what service you can offer. And it could be providing information about the luxury property market in this town. So when you send a connection request, the person that receives that request thinks, oh, it's not if they just see someone's connecting their estate agent, you're going to go, well, I'm not interested in selling my house. I'm not going to accept that connection. But if it says providing information about the local property market in that town, well, if they're a homeowner, they're going to be interested and they're going to accept that connection. And suddenly you're building an audience of people. And then, I don't know what contacts you've had through these platforms, but, I know someone who's recently had a lead from LinkedIn because of a video they put on, which was nothing to do with property. It was actually to do with a different videos, a different subject. And do you get many messages from social media and listings, sales?
Mainly, if I'm honest, more so leading towards Facebook. Instagram, we've had a good few leads with inquiries actually from buyers, but Facebook seems to be the largest one for me. Probably still growing my other audiences, if I'm honest, on the other platforms. But going back to LinkedIn as well, the joy about it is keep an eye on the local news as well, because if you know a big company is moving into the area, you find everybody who works for that area in case they have to relocate. So each platform will offer you different possibilities, I suppose, is how we do it. But Facebook is really good. Facebook Live, I haven't even touched on Facebook Live. So within my first few weeks of going self-employed, I took on a property. They were interested in buying another listing that I had on the market as well, but they weren't in a position. Did a Facebook Live event within 48 hours of them seeing this other property, sold it the day after.
Wow.
So from
so
that
no
point of
property
view,
portals.
nothing. It didn't hit anything.
Yeah.
Even now, I haven't got a photograph of the house. It's gone through. It completed in 8 weeks. So we had 2 of them in the chain, and 3 people with including the bottom. But from that point of view, someone standing in front of me saying, "How are you going to sell my house so I can buy my dream house? Because I know that you've got 10 other viewings on this in 2 days' time. What can you do?" And you're thinking, right, okay, I've got this. I know exactly the plan as to what to do. So you go out, you do your market appraisal. You say, right, how does that fit with your expectations? You've crossed that bridge. Right, I'm going to be back here at 7 o'clock this evening. Is that okay with you? I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live. Now, the daunting thing is when you're actually standing outside that property with your Facebook Live and getting your camera angles really important. Made sure doing that because I started off the wrong way. Yeah. Again, it's a learning curve, few weeks into doing it. Yeah. The vendors are watching you because I know that they've taken the dog out for a walk. They're sitting somewhere or they've gone for a drink or they're sitting in the park. And you see them, and you can see who's viewing you live, and you just think, oh my goodness, that's my vendor watching me in their house. Yeah, this is me trying to sell it. I'm on the spot. That's scary. Yeah. But you know what? We found our buyer through it. Wow. Buyer was tagged, viewing arranged that evening for the following morning, came along. I don't want it to hit the market. I want to buy this house. Yeah. Tied up. Brilliant. Facebook Live, who would have thought it? If you'd said a few years ago it's not going on any of the portals, you'd think, blimey, you're crazy. How on earth are you going to do it? Yeah. That's the window. That's the opportunity to jump on that opportunity, take it and run with it.
And a lot of people are following you on Facebook or Instagram because they want to see properties first. I mean, buyers now, a property's going on the market on the property portals, and suddenly there's lots of viewings and you've got to compete with everyone else. But if they can follow you and find out about those listings first.
Yeah, it's funny when you're out there and you're talking to people and they say, well, when's it going online? Oh, it's not at the moment. You need to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Follow all of the social media because we've got that chance to advertise something before we even go live on the portals. If you want to be in the know before I pick up the phone to you telling you you've got to view it, go on there because that's the first place I'll be putting it. Great. And our followers have increased considerably with regards to that, and that's great to see. And then when you're having messages, oh, I see you've done this video, that was the property you were telling me about last week. It just all links in, literally. Excuse the pun, that wasn't even deliberate, but it does. It's the jigsaw pieces all coming together.
Wow. Do you know what? It's fascinating and hopefully educational for a lot of estate agents out there who are not using social media. I wanted to talk about lots of things about what you do. We've literally just talked about social media. Maybe we'll need to have another chat, but I mean, it's fascinating. You're doing so well, and clearly I can see one of the reasons why is through your social media. Just quickly then, if we could just touch on a few of the things, I want people to sort of learn and pick up some ideas from you. We'll whiz through these quickly, but is there anything else that you do different to other estate agents, or any tips or advice you could give to other estate agents out there that you think work and set you apart?
To me, I think it's just important to be yourself. Yeah. Yes, you have the business plan. You've got that sat in front of you. There's lots of work that goes on behind the scenes. Word of mouth is extremely important. Recommendations. Yeah. All the people that, they might not be a client now, but they could be a few years down the line. That's really good. Magazines, extremely important. Delivering any content, market reports, market updates, even if they're in physical form. Speak to people. That's another chance. The more people that you speak to, it's that, the know, like and trust. I know I keep on saying that, but actually if people know that they can just pick up the phone or send you a message and know you're going to be there. Personality to me is very key as well. I do like to think that, I make people feel at ease. I want to take that stress away from somebody rather than creating a stress that they're worried that their agent isn't doing anything for them or they're not having any communication or any feedback. Feedback is extremely key, not just for them, but actually their feedback towards me. Because if I'm not doing something right, someone needs to tell me, and I would rather someone tell me if they're not happy with something, so I can learn and take that on board and make myself better, really. But there's lots of things that goes on behind the scenes, and we could be here all day. But
and what about, you mentioned something earlier about launch events. How do you get on with those? And because that's something that you do.
Launch events are really good. Otherwise known in pre-COVID terms, I suppose, as open houses. Actually, the term launch event is softer. We found actually that they work far better than an open house scenario, mainly because a buyer feels that they've got exclusive access to a property in the first instance. They have an allocated time slot. But also they know that someone's coming in straight after them. They can see them arriving. They can see someone before them leaving. That's extremely important as well. And it's social proof that actually they're looking at something in that price range, so it can't be that far out, or other people are making the right decision. So when you see other people following everybody else, it puts your mind at rest. I suppose it's a bit like going self-employed to some degree. If you know people who have done it and there's a story behind it, then actually it makes you feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident in that scenario. But launch events are really good, and it's more convenient for our sellers as well at the same time. Don't have to worry about tidying up every couple of hours for a viewing to come round. It works, and it's all part of that brand strategy as well as your personal strategy, because communication, everyone knows where they stand.
Brilliant. I think we could talk all day.
Sorry.
But it's been really, really insightful. And I think estate agents today, the future is obviously social media, obviously video. They need to invest time and money to learn those skills. I guess if you're working for a company, you might just sit back and think, well, I don't need to do it because that's what the company does. But if your future is you want to be a self-employed estate agent, now's a time to start planning your escape, if you like, and start building your social media connections and audience and your personal brand. And if you just have everyone's got a Facebook page, but really what you have is a Facebook business page. Which is different because a personal page, for someone to follow you, they need to sort of send a friend request and you need to accept it, and you might want to keep your personal life personal. But the business page, someone can just like your page and see your content. But the important thing about a business page is you can create adverts and there's all these analytics and you can see a lot more. So my advice to everyone is to have a Facebook business page. Obviously update your LinkedIn page, have an Instagram page, and start doing that now, building your audience, and it's going to make it easier if you do decide to set up as a self-employed estate agent.
And don't worry about doing content. I mean, I know lots of people have said it as well before, but no one likes the way that they look or sound on camera. It's terrifying when you see yourself, especially in selfie mode, when you're doing a Facebook Live event. It's horrendous. That's the downside to it. But that's who you are. You have to take that and try and get over that fear. I still have fear. I still get really clammy hands when I'm about to do a video because I just think, oh, what am I going to say? But you need to start building it. It's your own digital asset, and you're quite right. Even if you're not planning on doing it now, a few months down the line, these videos will all help to gain your audience, which are all good. How did you overcome the fear then? Because everyone has the fear to start with.
You mentioned that people don't like the way they sound, or whatever, to make a mistake. There is that fear, and it's a big blocker for some people. Some people have actually said that they don't want to become self-employed estate agents because they don't like the idea of doing a video or being on social media. I mean, how do you overcome that fear? And how did you do it?
It's practice at the end of the day. Made many mistakes. There's been lots of bloopers. We all make mistakes. I've had cameras falling out of, the stabilizing devices, and you just think, right, this isn't going well, or you've said something completely wrong. I think on my first Facebook Live, I can say this now and laugh about it. I wasn't laughing about it at the time, but I was Facebook Live and I called this lovely cottage. I think it was a townhouse, and I'm thinking, it's not a blooming townhouse. It doesn't look anything like a townhouse.
Is live.
This is live. And I'm just standing there, and the garden thinking, you need to get over it, while I'm still trying to think of something to say because I'm just about to carry on with a tour, thinking, please don't let my battery die, please. It's just loads of things are going through your mind, but actually you have to be honest with yourself as well. And I think we're all people at the end of the day. We're all there, and actually people can relate to you, and they can see that you're really trying. And so what if you've made a few mistakes? The Facebook Live event that I was talking about, I started it off in completely the wrong portrait mode. I started it off landscape, and everyone was having to turn and hurt their necks to actually watch it. So what I did is I took that video and I turned it around, rectified it for the next 20 minutes or so people weren't, and I retraced my steps. But then actually when I got home, I took that video and I edited it, and I turned everything round, and then I reposted it back out, and I said, I'm really sorry if you've hurt your neck while watching that. That wasn't deliberate. In case you wanted to rewatch it without looking like a bit of an idiot to the side, here you go. But actually that got probably more comments on it than before, because you're kind of taking it, you're accepting the fact that something went wrong. But actually you've made light of it, and people, I think, really respect you for that.
That you're human.
Exactly. We all don't like the way we look. We've always got a hair out of place. And I dread to think what mine's like now, because, we all need haircuts. But from that point of view, I carry hairbrushes in my bag, or I try my best. But you know what? It is what it is. Big gust of wind is going to come, or something like that. Something's going to happen, or a truck's going to go by and completely soak you. We've had that happen before as well. So you just think, okay, it is what it is. You've just got to get on with it. And actually that's what makes the job fun. As well, as you said, we're all human, so
interesting
it's good.
As well. And I think the best advice is you just got to do it.
You are who you are. You can't change it. I sound completely different probably to how I think I sound to you, and unfortunately it's just one of those things. We just have to deal with it. We can't change it.
I think people like you, or how you are, and whether it's in physical, seeing you in face-to-face now or on a video, they like you because you are who you are. So just be yourself. You mentioned it earlier, and I totally agree with that. And nobody's expecting perfection. In fact, nobody particularly likes to see a perfect presentation of someone who's got this slick idea. The more real you are, if you're with no makeup, your hair's not ready, do you know what? I think a lot of people would actually prefer that, because they feel like, oh, she's like a normal person underneath. And sometimes people do get too glammed up, I think, for the camera, and there's no need. Just be yourself. And but it's been fascinating. I've really enjoyed the chat.
Sorry, I know we didn't touch on quite a lot of things, but hopefully it's been informative what we have talked about. And
100%. This is probably one of the most important topics that people need to know about, and either don't know about it or are uncertain about it. And what you've given us today, some really great gold nuggets of what people can be doing and should be doing to build their estate agency business. So thank you very much for sharing. And if people want to follow you, it's Claire Heritage.
It is at Fine and Country Claire. Anybody?
Instagram, LinkedIn,
Facebook.
All
of them. Please join them. And TikTok. TikTok, it's on there. Don't judge me. I haven't done any dancing yet, but it is on there. It's a work in progress. So
and I've just started TikTok as well. I've probably got 35 followers, and I look at other people who've got 1 million followers, and I think, but they had 35 followers at one point.
I think my dog's got more followers than me, which is kind of like one of those things you think, oh my goodness, right, okay, it's just one of those.
We've all got to start somewhere. I think there's a famous saying about, when's the best time to plant an oak tree? Probably 10 years ago. When's the second best time? And that's now. And it's the same with starting your social media. Absolutely. It would have been great at starting it 10 years ago, but the second best time is now. So it's about getting started and building that audience. So right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your time. I've really enjoyed it. It's been some really, really good advice there, and I appreciate your time.
No, you're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like more information about becoming a self-employed estate agent, I will add a link in the description. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.